Hi, this is National Chess Master Rats. I'm at chess.com giving a sample to my video lessons group. I think I only have 5 games going. I have this announced several days, and I've got a couple of invites or requests to play sent out, challenges sent out, and they're not being taken. I've sent out chat requests so I can talk to you guys, and you're not answering. One person I sent a challenge to, C. Yarger, is playing another game, so I guess you want to play him more. That's all right. I want to come back to this game. There's a reason for it. Let me just kind of scroll through these. I basically am experimenting with this King's Indian attack, trying to teach everybody an easy opening to play, and often white can play the first 9, 10, 11 moves without even thinking. Now here's an interesting choice here, Queen B6, trying to exploit the fact that he knows I want to put my queen on C2. So I need to stop and guard that B pawn, and I go this way. But then what's interesting, 2 moves later, he just backs his queen up here, and so I'm going to be able to put my queen back on C2, and in fact I gain a move. Let's look at the time. I've spent 6 minutes on the game, but a lot of this is navigating and getting challenges sent. He's taking his time. It looks like it's still early to tell for sure, but I'm still within my book system here. Now I play E4 and move on to the next game. Now let's see. This is against Carlos. I decided to cross him up and play a different opening, just to give him more experience. That's the main reason. Okay, so now we could still go into a Queen's Gambit decline type position. We could go into Benoni if I play D5. I could play E3 and allow it to become kind of like a Queen's Gambit declined. What do I want to do here? I mean, I could fianchetto and let it become like a symmetrical English. Fianchetto the king bishop. I'm not sure what I want to do here. I'll just probably play on a whim. Okay, let's take a look. D5, E takes, D takes. He plays D6, and we play a lot of maneuvering. I want scope for my pieces. I'm going to fianchetto the bishop here because it probably won't get shut in. I want scope for my pieces. Let's see. Well, one thing about G3, I might have to give up the bishop on G5 if he plays H6. See, a lot of times it drops back. I'm going to play E3. I changed my mind. I'm going to play E3, and if he takes on D4, I'm going to take back with the knight. Now he can still play D5, but we'll just let him. Okay. Now here's I'm just wondering if there's a tactical oops here on Black's part, meaning the E6 square. Let's see. Let's take a look. So he's playing like a Dutch system against it, and I'm just going through the routine. The normal move I play without thought is E4, but I'm noticing this square here on E6. Can I do anything to it? In other words, knight D4. Okay, knight D4 attacks the pawn on E6. It also unmasks attack on his bishop on B7, so he has to take some action here. So knight D4, bishop takes G2, king takes G2. Now I'm attacking the pawn on E6. How does he guard it? If he plays knight C5, I can play B4, and I'm attacking the knight. The knight moves, and I pick up the pawn. And if he counterattacks my knight, say with E5, I play knight takes F5, and I'm winning a pawn there. So I'm thinking I'm winning a pawn here because he's made a little tactical slip. If knight D4, bishop takes, king takes H6, I Zwischenzug first with knight takes E6, and then salvage my bishop. So the first question is, what am I tactically missing here? This is a theme in the Dutch. You don't have to watch that E6 square. As white or black, if you go into this pawn formation, there's nothing guarding it. And he can't easily guard it. So I think I win a pawn here, but I could be wrong, but I'm going to play it. Okay, so now knight C6. Now this game is following the book, so to speak. Okay, so the difference being we have a symmetrical position, but his pawns have a little more space than I do. But I'm not worried about that. I don't care. I'm just playing the system. So now knight BD2. Here d5. Now I play bishop g5. Okay, still in the book here, and I believe it's everybody's move. So how many games do I have? 5 or 4? 1, 2. I only have 5 games. It's like I'm trying to whittle this list down, and I can't get the people to play. So I was willing to play and hoping to play about 20 boards today, but they're just not coming in. Okay, so I take that, and I have to cover c3 next. So push c3 to cover b2. I once played knight bd2 here and dropped the b pawn and ended up drawing the game, so I want to make sure that doesn't happen. And since it's not bringing up any boards, apparently it's not my move anywhere. I went through the list of people logged in as my friends. There were a number of people on my friends list that aren't sign up for the Simul, and therefore I don't send them challenges. Okay, knight b6. Okay, experience tells me the white and black knights don't belong on that square in this variation. It does keep me out of c4 at some point. I try to maintain a strong point on e4. There could come a time I could play a4 with the idea of a5 to kick that knight out, but I'm not quite ready for that. That also weakens the b3 square. What I'll do is I'll make an attack on e5. Okay, by that I'm play rook fe1. This is a move I commonly play to clear f1 for another piece to occupy. Usually the knight on d2, and then eventually the bishop on f1. It's kind of like a little pivot point that I rotate my pieces through to redeploy them. White usually doesn't move too many more pawns in this opening, starts maneuvering pieces, but this creates a discovered attack on the pawn on e5. The threat being pawn takes d5 and then knight takes e5. Okay, so now he's played queen c8 guarding his bishop. Now I believe I can just take his pawn, and then I have to make sure my knight doesn't get stuck. Well, it has a tempo and his rook. So now I don't want to take his bishop necessarily. That'll put his queen on this diagonal, although I suppose he could get there anyway. Knight takes e6, bishop takes g2, king g2, queen b7, check. I guess he could get there anyway, but I want to tempo the rook first. Okay, so I'm going to take the pawn. Okay, now he's played b6. Now this does weaken this diagonal a little bit for him, but it's not something I'm ready to exploit by any means, so I'm still in my book. I just continue with queen c2. Okay, now here I'm still in the book, so queen c2. Here he's guarded his pawn on e5. So a lot of times what they do is they take on e4. So he hasn't played h6. I don't take on f6 until he does. I think what I'll play here is knight f1, and the idea of that is to put the knight on e3. As I said, it's a remaneuvering strategy. I do have to make sure he doesn't come up with some move like knight fd7. The idea of trying to trap my bishop when the knight gets to e3, but I shouldn't have to worry about that. So I'll just continue maneuvering here. Knight f1. Await developments. Okay, rook e8. Well, I could play queen b3 here. That threatens some nasty discoveries. Not that I expect to get away with them, it just threatens discoveries. Another thing to do is just retreat the knight. The knight's not attacked. I don't really need to retreat it. It's not under attack. He can't do a discovery on it unless he does it with his knight. Where's his knight going to go? e5, okay. Is that a problem? Only if I let it. So let's see. I'm thinking logically what I should do here is play e4, although I could play the knight back to d4 right now and attack the f pawn, but that allows him to say move his knight on d7 to e5, and he's guarding it. So the thing I like about e4 is it declines an exchange. He had a chance to, he theoretically could have taken this last move. He didn't. I'll play e4, and the purpose of this is to keep my minor pieces on the board and try to keep his queen a little misplaced on c8. Okay, now he's played d6. So the question is, where do I want my bishop on? He's not going to be playing d5 and taking on c4, so the natural square for my bishop is on d3. Okay, now he's fianchettoed, and there's my 10th move, all out of the book. Everything's safe and sound. Okay, he's moved queen c7. Here's my 11th move, e4. He might play d4, but I'm not too worried about that. Okay, he did take. Okay. Now he played knight c6. Question, does he have any pressure on d4? Not that I should really worry about. Then I could go to b4. I drop the bishop back to b1. I think it's wise to get castled early here. It just avoids problems. He could play knight b4, but I can bring the bishop back to b1. Okay, now he took the pawn. Now how do I want to take back? I want to take back with the pawn. And keep the diagonals closed. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Pawn take back with the pawn. Now he's played e6. Okay, so I go back with the old tried and true plan. I just clear f1 for the knight to start remaneuvering and go from there. And I've got everybody thinking, and I'm sorry I only have 5 games going. I mean, everyone wants to play me, but I'm trying to find a good time for everybody. Right now I'm not seeing it. Okay, let's see. Bishop d7. Okay, so do I what kind of strategy do I want to pick up here? Well, first thing to do is complete my development. So that suggests where do I want the queen. Do I want it on c2? That threatens to win a pawn. Queen's, but it allows knight b4, and there goes my bishop. Okay, I lose a tempo. The idea of queen c2 is you're hoping to play bishop takes f6, but you don't have time for it. So I could spend a move with a3 to keep the knight out, but why spend a move to take the knight out? I could put the rook on c1 and drop the bishop back to b1 and play the queen to d3. I could theoretically do that. The only thing is, I mean, if I'm going to keep, I don't mind his knight going to b4 because where's it go next? But I want to have b1 available for my bishop. So I think logically, even though the rook may not use the c file, this is a logic move. Then I'll put the queen on e2 next. Okay. Now he's played bishop e6, so he's slightly targeting a2, but nothing I really need to worry about. He's getting some pressure, counter pressure on c4, but I don't mind that. I go through with the system and I put the knight on e3. Now I'm fighting over c4. And my pawn on e4 is safe. The queen's guarding it. And he can't divert my queen from that place. Okay, now bishop d7. Okay, so he's not... A lot of times they take on e4. He didn't do it. I can do that and open up the e file. I can play knight f1 and he could push d4. I've run into that. Is that a problem? Well, it does tend to deactivate my knight a little bit, and I can't easily hop into c4, although I've done it with knight f d2 and then knight c4. Let's see. And basically, white has an even game here. That's what you get out of this. Uh, One idea is to play bishop h3. Uh, the idea with that is to take on d5 and then swap the bishop off, because I have a crummy bishop and I like to get rid of the light squared bishops. Uh, let's look at the time. Oh, he's moving way too quick, but at least right now, he's got game time on his clock. I want to be able to answer d4 with knight c4. So maybe this is the type of position, since b6 is not much of a problem, that I just need to stop and play a4. Okay, I think it is. Now he's uncovered an attack on my knight. Where do I want to put the knight? Well, I'd like to get it to d5. I could play queen b3, like I say, and that threatens some mean discoveries. I think, see, if I go knight f4, and then the idea of knight d5, he can play knight takes d5, and I drop a piece. So we're not going to try to go to d5. Going to come back whence we came and try and maybe eyeball the f4 square, f5 square. Now, does he have a tactic with knight takes e4? Probably not. Knight takes e4, bishop takes e7. Knight takes d2. Well, if I give the pawn back, I give the pawn back. Okay, so he's brought his rook over to the d file. So this is a time to start fighting over c4. So let me just take him out of there. Bishop f1. Now I can start considering a plan like a4 and a5. Although he could play a5 against. There's the bishop move. The pawn move, so I can take the bishop. Just get rid of that critter. Okay, so now he's playing for b5. Let's see. So if I can uncover an attack on d5 if I take e takes d5, but my knight doesn't have any place to go to that I can uncover that attack other than h4. And there it gets ripped off. So here he's maybe planning b5. So I've often played an h4 maneuver here, and the idea is to redeploy the knight to g4. And so h4, b5, I take, he takes on b5, then I play knight h2. Now I'm attacking d4. And if he pushes, I get the... Let's see, wait. How's that? h4, b5, pawn takes, pawn takes. Now I play knight h2. Now I'm attacking d4. If he pushes... I'm being blind about something here. Facing out this position. h4, b5. Well, I don't have to take on b5. I can just play knight h2 directly. Let him take on a4, and he's got a weakness. But I've played h4 in many similar situations here. And it weakens g3 a little bit, but he's not really poised to take advantage of it. The a7 g1 diagonal is not open, so I think positionally I can get away with h4. Okay, now as I was saying, the next step is get the queen developed. So he's got a very solid game. I've got maybe a wee bit more space, game's even. Okay, he took with the knight. Now, do I have a discovery idea with with e takes d5? Queen takes, where's my knight go that's useful? Probably nowhere. I'll just go through with the with the system here and play the rook to e1. Okay, now he's getting me to commit to taking that off, which I don't mind doing at all. Okay, bishop a6. That makes me weaken f2 a little bit, unless I push a pawn, which I don't want to do. Rook e1, I've got f3 well covered. Let's see, is he going to stick something on d3? So what? Let him. Rook e1, knight d3, rook e3. Threatens to take his knight. If bishop d3, I can always exit with a check. And then chases knight out with f4. I should be okay here. So rook e1. Okay, now let's see. He took that way. Now, here's the question. I want to play a4. I was talking about this earlier. Now, one drawback with playing a4, you see b3 is a little weaker here, and his bishop is on that diagonal. I can play rook ad1, and he can't snatch the a pawn because he'll get his bishop trapped. But it's one of those positions where weaknesses start coming in. A4, A5, our pawn structures are exactly symmetrical on the almost the entire board, except that he would have a pawn on h6, or his king rook 3 square, and I won't have one on my king rook 3 square. If you don't know English descriptive notation, learn it. Some of the best chess books ever written are in English descriptive notation. Ha ha. And it is useful notation for describing a square. Black's h6, white's h3. You just say it's their king rook 3 square, because you notate from whatever perspective of white or blacks. E4, E5 is pawn to king 4, pawn to king 4. Okay, so we have what we call a mix. Let's kind of talk about this in a positional sense. We have kind of a Mexican standoff here. By that I mean both sides are controlling c4. Neither of us can put a piece there. It's booby trapped. Okay, so the idea of a4 is to try to drive his knight back, and then I can occupy the square. So if I play a4, he likely will play a5, and I can't really make any headway on the queen side. The only question is, did I end up making a weakness there that I will regret? My knight on e3 and bishop on f1 are totally posted where I want them. I can continue the fight over c4 with knight d2. I've followed this plan before. That actually makes sense. Move pieces, not pawns. Knight d2 threatens to plop something down on c4. So imagine white with two moves in a row. Knight d2 to c4. If he plays knight takes, I take back with the knight. And or I can even take back with the bishop and trade the bishops off, and he's kind of got a crummy bishop on f6. So I don't want to create a weakness on my pawns yet on the queen side, so I want to play knight d2. I don't have to use that maneuver of h4, knight h2 that I've been using in some of the other games. These things all balance out. Okay, queen c7. Now the question is, oh wait, he's giving me a pawn here. What's he threatening? If I play pawn takes, it attacks his knight. His knight has to vacate, and I can play c4. It changes the system slightly, but I'm going to be a pawn ahead. I think that's what I do. Let's see. Okay, now he did put the bishop there, so I exit with a check. And he did play b5. Now what was I saying about here? I just ignore it and go ahead and play my knight to h2 and invite him to play h5. But he can't, because the thing about knight h2 is it attacks the pawn on d5, and it requires him to come up with some kind of a alternative. Let's see, knight h2, d4, knight g5, bishop g7. he's stepping into a pin here. I think knight h2 is the move. The pin being on the h1 a8 diagonal. So this threatens to win a pawn, and if he plays pawn takes e4, normally I would take with the pawn, but I suddenly have the option to take with a knight. And the knights become kind of active, and I preserve that long diagonal. So I think knight h2 is the move here. Okay, now, do I want to weaken my king side with f4? He can't use the diagonal a7 g8. Let's see. I've got the e6 square for what it's worth. I can get back in there. I can put my queen there. I don't know if that does a lot of good. Ideally, what I'd like to do is transfer piece over to the king side. Now, knight d2, f3 does that, but it gives up the c4 square. You can play bishop c4 and chase my queen out. If I play an f4, I may be committing to taking on f6 soon. And I don't see his bishop on f6 becoming generally active because he's got a lot of pawns on dark squares. F4, knight g4. You could play, like actually f4, you play knight f7. I think that's a better move. Bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6. I'll stick with the principle of pieces, not pawns. What if I play knight from d4 to f3? This keeps control of c4. And if he trades knights, my knight replaces it. Is he going to try to get some counterplay on e4? Well, my knight, rook, and bishop guard it. If I put the knight on f3, the knight's no longer, or the bishop's no longer guarding it. But I'm a pawn up. I think the key move. But again, I was talking about f5. Do I want the knight in on f5? Invites him to weaken his pawn structure with g6. That's such a good square, but he might have a trick. Knight takes e4. Yeah, he can undermine it. Okay, knight from 4 to d3 or to f3. We slowly start taking our squares back, and we're a pawn ahead, so we can do that. Okay, rook c8. Okay, battle lines are drawn. Just play simple, rook fd1. Okay, there's bishop g5. Okay. Let's see. I can play one of my knights to c4. Knight 1, knight 2, there might be a tactical flaw here. Knight 2, c4. He plays knight takes c4. I take back with the knight. Knight 2 to c4. Knight takes knight. If I take back the knight, he has bishop takes c4 and then rook d2 is annoying. He's getting on my 7th rank. Well, I've still got the standoff on c4. If he wants to liquidate his bishop for my knight, fine. It's one reason not to play a4 because it puts a pawn on a white square. And if he's going to trade off his bishop for a knight, I can't stop him now. See, I had an option to play h4 in that position, and I didn't. Perhaps I think I have reasoned to play h4 just to stop that bishop g5 move before. But having to play these things quickly, I didn't quite plan on it. Uh, let's see. Uh, of course, another option to do is just play c4 myself here. That gives up the d4 square, but he's not. It's going to take him a while to get a knight there. Knight goes to c8, to e7. He's got to get his knight to e6, and let's see, knight d7, knight f8, move the bishop, knight e6. He finally gets it in. It can be done. This only works if only. Trying to think what was I saying? Oh, for what I was trying to say. I don't like giving up d4, and then he can. If I do push c4, he can take on e3. He can even play c5 and stop it, and it's going to take. Or bishop takes e3, rook takes e3, then plays c5. And it's going to take me a while to get a knight to d5. So I don't think that's a good plan. Of course, even though I think knights are misplaced in this position on b3, this is one that I can actually play a knight to b3, I think. Knight b3, the idea is to put the knight on c5. Now I'm giving up c4, but do I really care? Knight b3, okay, the idea is to play knight c5 next. So knight b3, bishop takes e3, rook takes e3. Now he can put his knight on c5, c4. I just bring the rook back to e1, and I've covered d2. My knight's covering d2. Knight b3 might, even though I'm saying these things don't belong there, this might be one of those positions where it does. I'm fighting over the queen bishop 4 square, and he isn't fighting over his queen bishop 4 square. So I'm going to go for it. I think knight b3 is a good move here. And if he takes it, he takes it. I'll take back with the pawn, have a tempo on a7, keep him out of c4, and go from there. Okay, so let's see. He played knight a5. Now, c4, and I maintain a pawn. He can play e6 at some point and give me a backward pawn, but I'm going to be up a pawn. It's rare that I win a pawn in this with using this opening, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. All right, he's offering me a bishop trade. Usually I don't like to trade pieces, but I'm up a pawn. I don't think it can hurt. Bishop takes, rook takes, knight takes, knight takes. Knight f3 offering him another trade. Okay, so I could also play knight takes. They can't take my bishop because of knight f7 check, and he's going to get smothered mated. I can pin him with bishop h3. I'm looking for a way to economize this and have the maximum activity I can. After just be a pawn up and have some activity here. Bishop takes, rook takes. I can take again. He takes with his knight. Just offer him another piece trade. The only question will be is that bishop on d3 of his a thorn in the side or not. Well, I think I got to take this off rather than. Well, let's see. What if I retreat it? It guards e3. I can play knight g4, bishop d4, c5. Yeah, I'll just trade it. It's not a good piece, but this just slowly starts consolidating my game. Okay, now next step here is to First off, I want to break the pin on my B pawn. So, and at some point he may open up the E file and try to pressure D3. So I'll just simply play Rook AD1. That breaks the pin on the B file, or on the diagonal, H8 to B1, H8 to A1. I could play Knight E4 here and attack his bishop and threaten to double his pawns, but I'm not sure if I want that knight there just yet. It can go there soon enough. So I'll play Rook there. Now he did take that. Okay, that's fine. We both traded a bishop for a knight. Now I can trade off another piece here. This will allow me to eventually chase his bishop out of there. Well, what if I play knight G5? Am I threatening anything? No. Okay, I'll just take it. Okay, there come D4 as expected. That he would try something like this. But you know, I can open up that diagonal. If I play knight G4, he plays bishop G7. I can push E5. And that clears E4 for my knight, opens up the diagonal. Let's see. Let's look at the time. Okay, we've played 15 moves, and he's basically playing off his 30-second increment. I'm down to 60 minutes. So this comes down to one of those things. If you play quick, you're going to get me in time pressure, because I spend time talking about what I'm trying to do. Then you win the game on time, but why did you play when you have nearly 3 minutes of move average? Why are you going to play using 30 seconds a move? It just boggles the mind. Someone's sending me a chat request. Well, you're too late to play the simul now. Okay, you're too late. This guy, you know what time it's starting. I'm busy. I'm not going to take your chat because you're just going to ask me. I'm not going to identify you. You're just going to be, can I play? Well, tough. You know, you need to know what time. I told you what time it is. It's posted 5 days ago. I'll be giving plenty more. You'll eventually catch a game. I'm not going to be distracted by you. I'll just decline the chat. You'll know I'm not going to play you. Okay, so let's see. He did play knight c4. So I got to bring the rook back to e1. That keeps him doubled on the file. He might play b6 here. Let's see. Where's this rook? Let me just drop him on g8. If you're not careful where you drop him, you end up making a move. I could take that guy with my bishop. Not sure if I want to do that. Rook e1 is going to play b6 and keep my knight out. See, I knew these knights didn't belong on b3 squares. Now I'm finding out why. Bishop takes c4. Bishop takes c4. My knight goes to c5. It's not really doing anything there. Game's dead even. Well, that's what this opening does. I've said that 100 times. Rook e1, he plays b6. How do I play a4? He plays a5. Let's see. bishop takes c4, bishop takes c4, knight c4, b3, or b6. Can I play b3? We get these triple pawns. I think it's just safe and sound here. Rook e1. Okay, I'm not going to take your chat. You're too late. Okay, you're just going to beg me to play like I've done before, and don't take it personal. You need to be on time. I set these things because I have a schedule, and I can't extend this sit and play all day. Okay, I can't sit and play chess all day. That's why these times are given. That's the rule. Now, I've declined your chat. You sent me another one, so I'm not even going to respond this time. Okay. So I'm a pawn up. He's trying to redeploy his bishop. Now let's see if I can get d4 in at the right time. And I'm just going to play knight e4 here. Okay, now I'm running out of time. Well, not really running out of time. I have plenty of time. Okay, knight e5. Now I just play knight f3. Now for trades. Okay, he put his bishop back. Now just play a safe solid. b3 here. Okay, bishop or rook d8. Game looks dead even. Okay, so I play d5 here, try to get some space to see d5. Maybe this is the time to play a3, preparing d5. You know, it's not a bad move. Let him see what he's going to do. Okay, he's back on the queen. So I'll just put the queen back on d1 where he can't bother. Well, queen c2, bishop d2, queen d2. So we'll let him attack it one more time. Okay, b6 is expected. Rook ad1 is the move here. Clear c1 for my queen. Might gain a tempo on that h-pawn. Okay. You play bishop e8 now. Do I want to play d5? I'm just trying to gain some space here. d5, pawn takes. Now he's guarding e7. I can get a nice outpost. What if I just take his knight? Bishop takes d5. He could take on c3 at some point. Okay, I think it's one of those positions where I just have to carefully maneuver here. Let's put the let's see, bishop b1. We can c4 just a bit. Knight a5. I don't think he has enough with that. So bishop b1. He made a bishop maneuver. I'll make a bishop maneuver. Okay, there's e6 as I thought might happen. Now I can play knight c3. Let's see, knight c3. He can play bishop takes c3. Queen takes c3. He can take his pawn back. So, what was my last move was b3. Just might not have been entirely accurate, but Pawn takes, bishop takes. I can play knight c3 here. I also play d6 for what it's worth, although the pawn may become a target. I'm giving up c6 here. Probably b3 was a mistake. I just didn't analyze this far enough. Let's see. Pawn takes, he takes with the bishop. He's ready for knight c6. What if I play, of all things, d4 here? We could take on d5. Attack my knight. I take on d5. He takes back with the rook. I take on c5. Might have to give the pawn back here. d4. I'm not going to wait to give the pawn back with favor. I've got a slight lead in development. His king rook isn't really in the game, and his knight's on the side. d4. I'm also stepping into a pin, but I get moves like knight a4, knight b5 in d4, pawn takes d4, knight takes d4. Now if he plays pawn takes d5, I can play knight b5. So I don't want him to get a piece outpost into d4. That's why I'm looking to play d4 myself here. It's very tricky. d4, pawn takes on d4. You could also take on d5. And I take on d5. Now I've got him in a pin. Yeah, I'm just going to play it. It looks interesting. What if he plays f5? I might... No, if he plays f5, I just put the knight on c3. And everything's hunky-dory. We'll try it. Okay, d5, okay. Wow, look how level this looks. Okay, he's pressuring c4, is he? Is this a position where an isolated pawn could be forced? Pawn takes. If he takes with the knight, to take his bishop. Play bishop f4 for what it's worth. I think this is the right move. But at some point we have to do some exchanges like this. Okay, knight d6. Oh, interesting. He had that nice outpost and he gave it up. So I go back to the Mexican standoff with knight d2. He's probably planning to double his rooks. Let's see. I can play rook d2, and if he plays knight c4, then I can play bishop takes c4, bishop takes c4, and double my rooks. Rook d2, knight c4, bishop takes, rook doubles. He can take on d2. I take on d2 with my rook. He slides his rook to d8. I put my queen on d1, attacking his rook. He takes, and I take. I have the open file. He's got a bishop on c4. Let's see. Rook d2. Knight c4, bishop takes, rook there, rook takes. I'm on his pawn on h6, but he can cover that. Maybe the secret here is to play for b3 and just keep him out of c4. I'll go through maneuver knight c1. Where's the knight going next? Knight d3. It's not really going anywhere. Knight d2, rook d7, c4, rook e d8. Not much going on these games. Yeah, stand up and walk around. Let me peek and see what I was talking about. I was maybe in some time pressure in a game or two. Okay, played the knight there. Is he attacking anything I should worry about? My rook. Okay. Well, if I just play rook e3 and I'm attacking his knight. Yeah, that's a ticket. Okay. He took with the knight. Now my bishop is loose, but it's not really loose. Is this one of those positions where I can sack on h7? Bishop. Knight takes d5. Invites him to give him an isolated queen pawn. Yeah, I'm gonna take that off. Okay. Now he did go that way. Now he's on my knight, so I take here. Now I've got a pin on his c pawn. I got pressure on c5. Oh, I have to make up my mind on this game still. Rook d2, knight c4. I just put the rook back and repeat the position. Go from there. Okay, now I take on c5. I'm splitting up your pawns. I'm attacking your rook. Okay. He put the bishop there. Now, how do I want to do this? b3 or b4 or both? b3 then b4. Let's play b3 and figure out what to do next. Okay, he took with the rook. Okay, so let's see. This is getting close to some kind of a tactic here. On the h7. Let's see. Bishop takes e7. Knight takes e7. Or queen takes. I could also play bishop takes e7, then e4. Knight takes d. I have a pin here. I'm gonna have a pin on the c file, whether it's knight takes or it's queen takes. e8's unguarded. So I'm gonna take on e7 first, then play e4. Okay, so now his bishop went back to f7. He's trying to what? Put it on g6. Okay, I've got a rook that's not in play. Let's get him in play. going to play bishop g6. What if I play knight h4 with the idea of putting the knight on f5? This will just stop bishop g6 and invite him to weaken his king position with g5. Then get my rook into play later. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, now for what it's worth, like I say, I have some kind of a pin on the C file. E4 makes his rook go back and go laterally, I suppose, but he might run into trouble. E4. See, if he plays knight takes d4, I play knight takes d4, and there's a pin on the C file. So E4 is the move. Okay, bishop e6. Now he's taking advantage of the pin. I'm temporarily up a pawn, but that's what goats do. But let's see. Not sure what I want to do here. I'm going to stand up, walk around a second, stretch my legs. Let me look at the time. Okay, this one I'm way down on time. Oh, I forgot about this game. Wow. I knew there was a game where I was down on time. But going to have to figure out something to do here in a minute. Meanwhile, it's getting a little warm in here. I'm going to turn on the air. There's a click. Somebody moved. Okay. Let me kind of contemplate this position while I stretch. I don't mind if he takes my a pawn. It just gives him a little bit of a weakness over there. I can take on b5 and then leave the rooks on the a file. I know I wasn't going to get control of c4 because he was going to get b5 in. The only question is where exactly do I want my rooks? Do I want to take on d4? I've done this before and given the b5 square, but his knight can just jump right in and I can't take it off because my knight's busy had run over to h2. He's no longer controlling d4. I can play that knight g5 move I talked about, or knight g4 move, inviting bishop back to g7, and maybe do something with an e5 tactic, trying to activate that bishop on g2. That was one of the ideas here, to see if I could create any play. I don't care if his pawn on d4 takes on c3. I maintain control of b4 and d4. This is a theme. But, you know, he's just basically moving too quick on me. You know, as I said, he's just using his increment to think. And, you know, he put me in time pressure as a result. Because I don't, you know, I spend time looking at each game and trying to explain what I'm doing. So I think my position is here reasonable. I'm not worse. But it's just a little questionable exactly how I want to proceed here. And opening up that diagonal, it's not something that usually happens in this opening with the King's Indian attack. That bishop gets hemmed in by a pawn on e4. But that's something that happens in the King's Indian defenses with black too. Your dark squared bishop is saddled in behind that pawn on e5, unless you play the variation where you push c5 to activate that bishop. Of course, that brings new aspects of the position that are dynamically equal. That's a dynamically equal position, and you find a plan and to get the most out of your pieces and do it. It's the only thing. Positionally, my idea makes sense. It just doesn't survive the tactical motives, because the idea is to advance a pawn at some point to e5, and if I advance that pawn to e5, then it could become a weakness and a target. And if I don't get enough compensation on the open diagonal, then I end up with the worst game. So let's see. I'm going to take a little time here and figure this one out. Hmm. So let's see. Knight g4, a takes b5, c takes d4 is just not good. It gives them control of d4. Knight g4, the pawn could become a target. I mean, the knight could become a potential target to an e5 push by him. So if I commit to knight g4, I want to be sure that I can play e5. And because if he plays e5, then suddenly he's unmasking an attack on my knight on g4, and it has to go back. But then again, that weakens the d5 square, but I'm not sure how I get there. So, there's definitely a lot to be said here as to what to do. Anyway, not sure what I want to do here. The other strategy is not try to press the position and maintain the status quo, so to speak, and find a way to utilize the knights. That's what I've been, what I try to do with this position is get the knights into play, but he's taken the c4 square away, which I don't mind. I've had this happen before, and I'm comfortable playing this position. Let's see. But I do need to start thinking about moving here because I'm running out of time. Let's see. But we'll just take a little time and figure out exactly how we want to continue here. Let's see. Having a little trouble getting my knights activated, and that's what the key is. When you give up the bishops, you're trying to activate the knights, but his bishops aren't doing anything really that I need to worry about, unless the positions opens up like that other one is, where I just gave the pawn back. I'll have to figure that one out. Those bishops could torment me. I don't know yet. We'll see what this. But I like that knight g4 idea, and it probably play bishop g7. Then I can play e5, like I was talking about. This creates pin problems, and I can throw knight f6 check. Yeah, I thought about that earlier. I never mentioned it. Yeah, now it's coming back. The idea being to wedge a pawn down on f6 and have the long diagonal. So I'm going to go ahead and play knight g4 here because I do need to move. And there it is. Now let's see. Oh, you're walking into a pin. Knight takes. Okay, a5. Okay, well, what I do is I double my rooks here, and when you play, let's see, rook d1, a4, knight c1, he can bring the knight back to c4. I trade on d8, he trades on d8. I play b3, I take, he takes, and his knight goes back. Okay, so I just double rooks here. Okay, now it's my move somewhere. Now, did I win a piece? I think I won a piece. Okay, because of that pin. Knight f3, attack your rook, and then play e5, and make sure you don't checkmate me on g2. So knight f3. Okay, now what do I want to do here? That is the question. Got to stop and think about this one. I've got plenty of time on this game. He's taking his time, which is good. And Therefore, I'm not running out of time. So let's see. Yeah. Okay. What's he attacking? Anything. What if I play b4 here and attack his knight? That's a possibility. Let's see. I can play b4 as a candidate move. I can move my queen off the open file. That's a candidate move. I'm temporarily up a pawn. He can play his knight to c4. He could play his knight to c4 because queen takes c4 runs into discovery. Rook takes d1. Ouch. But then he gets his knight to c4. That's what he gets. Is that knight menacing anything? On c4. I can trade a set of rooks. I chose to win a pawn. I knew they could maybe get some play on it. I should have seen he was planning e6. I was looking at it earlier and said, well, if he does it, he gets an isolated pawn. Then we play bishop c8. He's trying to avoid getting the isolated pawn. I kind of forgot about that. It comes from having to, when I have to play too quick. I'm just not a real fast player. I need my time to make sure I come with accurate moves. And if I take my time, I can generally find them. So let's see. b4 and queen e2. I could walk into pin on the e file. Queen b1 is a place to park the queen. Of course, I can just take his rook. Bishop takes, and then play b5 or b4 rather. That's an alternative. I guess gotta figure this one out. Oh darn, I don't know. I like b4, and I like d5. Rook takes d5, and then b4. I don't really like activating his bishop. I'll let him take my rook on b1. I'll play b4 here. See, rook takes d5 is possible, but bishop takes d5 activates his bishop a little bit. It's got pressure on e4, and it gives him a chance to take on d1. So b4 it is, and he can play knight c4, I suppose. We'll find out if he does. Okay, now he's played rook g6, so I uncover attack on the rook with e5. Okay, now let's see. King g7 of all things. Okay, so get this knight to. Okay, I'm gonna have to bring the knight. It's gonna take a little maneuvering. Knight c1. You can't take on a2, obviously. I can play b3 and get control of c4 back. Okay, so here he's pressuring e4 a little bit. See, rook, knight, and queen on it. I've got rook, bishop, and queen on it. I'll play knight f5. Do I play b4 and chase his knight out? Knight to e6, knight to d7. That start getting in play. I'll let him move his own knight into play. I'm just going to overprotect the e pawn and go from there. Okay, rook h6. Okay, next step is to offer a queen trade. Queen e6 attacks, well, doesn't really attack his pawn, but it's preparing queen g5. Okay, queen e3, so rook d8. I'm not ready for e5 yet, but I could be soon. There's a hole on c6. Knight f5, d4 will pressure the square, push the pawn and get it in. I've got e4 protected to the max. I'm going to play knight f5 and just see where he puts his rook. Okay, now here he's played that. Now I think I play e5, I was saying. The idea of knight f6. Check. Yeah, that was the ticket. And I'm running low on time, so I just got to go through with it. Okay. And because of the pin, I can afford to play this. And the e5 pawn is, you'd have to give up the exchange to do it. Although that does weaken my light squares. Okay, so now he's put the rook there. Now, like I say, I'm trying to play to keep an eye on c6. So knight d4. Now the knight's centralized. See where this goes. And I think I have everybody thinking. Okay. The bishop c6. Okay, I'll just play bishop e4 and neutralize that bishop. Okay, that game's easy. Let's see, I played b4 and he hasn't moved yet. I have 52 minutes. There's a move here, rook back there. Now I've got pressure on c6, but his queen's covering it. So I can play e5, and if pawn takes, I play knight c6. If rook takes, I play knight c6. He takes my rook. I take back with my rook, and I attack his queen, and I win the knight. So e5. I don't win the knight. I win something. e5. He takes. Pawn takes. I play knight c6. I'm going to win the exchange. He gets his pawn back, but I'll be up the exchange instead of up the pawn. Right? Okay. So he went bishop there of all things. Well, I don't mind this because now the question is, do I have a tactic? Rook takes d6. Rook d6. Bishop takes f8. I'm sorry. Rook takes d6. Bishop takes f1. Rook takes d8. And I'm attacking his rook. He takes back, and I take that. And I win a piece. I think I win a piece here. Rook takes d6. Rook takes. The only question is, does he find some fancy way to mate me? Rook takes d. Let's see. Rook takes d6. Bishop takes f1. Rook takes d8. Bishop h3. Rook takes e8. I'm up 2 rooks. Rook takes d6. Rook takes d6. Bishop takes c4. I have 2 pieces for the rook. Rook takes d6. What else can he do? Rook takes. Bishop takes f1. I play rook takes d8. He plays rook takes d8. That works. Okay, now he played there. Now we go knight c6. Right? Knight c6. Okay. Carlos gave up. Thanks for the game. Let's try to do a recap of this one. He just unfortunately made a tactical slip. I think he'd equalized, but or close to it. I see I'm not doing anything ambitious. I'm just like gradually improving the position of my pieces. But here I thought it was wise to go ahead and make an exchange in case come back. He's attacking my queen. Where do I want my queen where it won't bother me? That looks like he's going to bother me wherever I put it. So queen c1, knight d3. I play rook takes d3. I'll tell me I gave my pawn back. So the move I was at, let me make sure I'm not setting it on the wrong square. Let's see. I can put the queen on e2. That's true. I didn't see that. Queen goes to e2. Okay, queen e2. Okay, now you put the knight on c4. Right? Now, I was talking about that, knight c4. Where's that knight going next? e5? Maybe I should attack at bishop f1. So I can't play queen takes c4. That's horrible. Bishop f1 weakens f3, but he's not on it. Yeah, bishop f1. Okay, knight d3 of all things. Okay, now I'll take on e7. Then I'm threatening knight takes g6 check. Okay, knight takes e7. Let's come back and look at this game before I close it out. So I thought it was... See, this is my move. Okay, now I take your bishop, and I won 2 pieces for the rook. Okay, why does this guy keep sending me chat requests? I'm not going to play any games now. I'll announce the next Simul. You can play me then. I think you just lost a piece because I have a Zwischenzug check. As long as I don't step into a pin. Okay, rook d8. Rook fd8 and on my rook, so I basically have to consolidate here and cover squares. So let's see. He's threatening to penetrate if I like to play bishop e2 here. That secures d1 and d3. Let's see. Let me just come back. I got 51 minutes. Okay, got plenty of time. I want to make sure I don't run into any accidental time loss here. He took that. Now I play queen takes e1, and he doesn't have a pin on the back rank, although he can play queen c2. But I'm liable to play something like rook takes e5 and threaten my own back rank mate. Okay, let's try to finish this game off. It's just the notes. So I was talking about him stepping into a pin, and here he did. Somebody else resigned. Let's see who resigned. He resigned here. Okay. Then somebody moved. We'll find out. They chopped. Hear the chopping block. The sound of a piece capture. So I have e4. He needs to bring his rook back to d8. But I've got a pin. And he's just going to lose a piece. So he didn't have to fall into this. Let's see. What could he have done differently? Taken with the knight rather than the queen. I can still play e4 and I have pressure on c5. Take with the pawn and accept an isolated pawn. That's the other alternative. Although pawn takes... Well, he's on my... If I play bishop takes, he can take back with the knight. Yeah, he just had a slip. I'll go over the game with him later. But what he did was he just ended up walking into a pin with knight takes d4, and he can't take. He's going to drop his rook, so he's just down a piece. Anyway, thanks for the game. I have another game over, and I guess I'm down to 4 games of playing. So I won this game. Let me make sure I'm not in any trouble. I'm playing 3. Okay, I have 49 minutes there. I have 51 minutes there. I have 26 here. Okay, he took on c3. Now, That move, like I say, doesn't really concern me because I can always take back and maintain control, so I'll just play an automatic move there. Now let's see, he played knight e5. I was talking about weakening f3. There you have it. F3 is under fire. The bishop f1 weakened e3, so let's see, do I take it? Knight takes, I was going to take back with the bishop or the rook. Well, he's going to have to find out, let him think about it. Okay, now back to this game. Oh, somebody moved again. I just want to make sure I don't waste a lot of time. This fast thinker over here. Okay, rook b8. He broke the pin. So here I just play knight check and invite him to. Let's see. Well, yeah, I'm going to secure that. I'm going to anchor that pawn on an f6. I'll just go for it now. I want to make sure he doesn't get on the 7th rank. So if I move my rook, he does get there. I can either protect my rook, in which case he may triple. I have plenty of time. Let me look over here. He did take. Okay. Let's see, what are you doing here? You're thinking. Getting him to take his time at least. He was at 89 minutes earlier. Okay, what did he do? He took with the queen. I didn't see that. I said he takes with the bishop, he takes with the rook. He took with the queen. Well, what can I do about that? Is he attacking my knight on e4 in any way, shape, or form? I want to play c6 and just take a pass pawn. Try to run with it. Play a4 and b5 and anchor it in. The worst that happens is the board's opening up for his bishops, but a pass pawn will keep him busy. Let's make him think. He can pin me with bishop f5. Is that a problem? I can always put the bishop back on f2. I think just advancing that pawn just seems right. Okay, what do I want to now? Back to this one. I still have 46 minutes. Okay, bishop d2. He can triple. Now I trade. He takes. He's ready to penetrate. And the moment I play knight b3, he kicks it out. So he might be getting the 7th rank for his 2 pieces for the rook here. I can't say. Heck. All I have to do is consolidate him getting in the 7th rank, and the game becomes won. That's all I have to do. And when I do that, it's curtains. It's just a matter of making sure he doesn't get in the 7th rank and pick up a pawn. The game should still be in my favor, but it's not entirely clear right at this point because I have to go through a lot of maneuvering to use the bishop and knight together to win another pawn. So, dang, let's see. I have 45 minutes in this one. I got plenty of time. The one I'm in time pressure, I have 25. That's plenty of time, and I'm down to 3 games. So that should be a lot easier. And, okay, so can't move the rook. I either have to trade the rook or play bishop d2. I can play rook d3 of all things. I control b3, but he can play b5 and chase my bishop out of there. And do all kinds of things here. Let's see. Just gotta find the right path. Okay, so Rook takes is okay, but then he's going to get on the 7th. Because I put my knight on, but I think he's going to get on the 7th rank the more I'm looking at this. So I could be wrong, but trying to find the right way to do this. Of course, I can shut the 7th rank down, or the d file down with rook takes d6, and then put the bishop on d3, and then just slowly consolidate my position. That makes sense. Yeah, trying to keep him out of d2, I just can shut the d file down. Okay, rook takes. Okay, that game's done. Now he's playing, what, b4? He's trying to get a pass pawn. He's trying to get a pass pawn. Or is he trying? So he's trying to play b3? No, I can stop that. He's giving me the c4 square back. He's trying to undermine c3 so he can get his knight into b4. Probably can't stop that. Let's see. Sure like to be able to find it. Well, one of my ideas was to get the knight into e4. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see. I get the knight to c4, but I was trying to get him to e4. That's what I was trying to do. e4 was the square I wanted all along. Because the knight's just virtually unassailable there, and it's okay I've shut the diagonal because his rook's no longer on a8. And I need the knight on e4 just to anchor that pawn in on f6, so knight e4, if he takes on c3, I take with the queen. He gets his knight to d4, well, so what? He gets his knight to d4. I'm on c5. And I'm running out of time here, so this was always the plan. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Okay. I played c6, and he took my rook. Which way to take back? With the queen or the rook? How about the rook? Just break the pin on the e-file. I can step into a pin on f5, but I'm not too worried about that. I can play bishop d3. So I take with the rook. Now we play, I could play queen d3. Queen d3. Now I think the way to do this is just consolidate bishop d3. And then redeploy things. Well, how do I redeploy? I'm tied down to guarding d3. My king has to come into play at some point. I play moves like b3 to stop him from playing c4. Yeah, I think bishop d3 is the move. I'll just... Queen d3, queen... Can he put his queen anywhere where it's a nuisance? I don't know, but queen d3, if he trades, I go right down to the ending. They can put the queen on c5. No, he can't put it on c5. He drops his rook. Queen d3. He trades queens. He puts his queen on e7 or c7. My queen comes back to e2. Puts his queen back on d6. Says, you want to go around again? Now, but e2 is a square I might want to get my king to. Just so that I can cover d2 and free my bishop. But then, where's that bishop going? Ah, what a mess. Let me make sure I'm not running out of time somewhere else. Okay, he's taking his time now. Good. Okay. He attacked my rook. Okay, where do I want the rook? D7 is out, D8 is out, D5 is out, D4 is out. How about D2? That's in. You might play bishop F3, but I've got the... Where's my knight go? Huh. Puzzling to say the least. Puzzling to say the least. As bishops are in the game, but I got this monster pass pawn. We're saving him for later. Don't know quite what to do here. I'm just running into possible tactics. So let's see. Of course, I always play bishop e2. Might be wise to trade off one of those killer bishops. And bishop e2, bishop f5, he pins. What do I do? Do I dare play f3 and give him that diagonal? Yeah, probably. I got that pass pawn. Bishop e2, bishop h3. I can play b5 and anchor things in. Now let's just play bishop e2 here. Of course, bishop takes, queen takes. He plays rook e8. I got a little problem there. Let's see. Maybe bishop e2 is flawed. Rook e8 threatens to play f5. Of course, if we trade off, that pawn of mine gets real dangerous. Let's see. Rook e8. Queen c2, give him the piece. Point being, if queen takes e4, I play queen takes e4, rook takes e4, c7, rook c4, rook d8 check, and I queen, and I'm up the exchange. Unless there's a tactical flaw, this might work. Okay, so queen d6. I didn't move here yet. I have 35 minutes. I'm starting to run out of time there. I have one game over. Okay, good. He's taking his time. That was... let's see. Okay, my move. No, his move. Hit my move. What to do here? What to do here? Queen d3 or bishop d3? That is the question. I'm trying to make up my mind here. Queen d3. I'm happy if he trades queens. Because he doesn't even have to trade queens. What if he plays something like b5 And then I have to trade queens, and he gets down to the 7th rank. No, I got to play bishop d3 here. Okay, there he pinned. That was a possibility. Now f3. Just anchor that knight in. Okay, it weakens my king a little bit, but I think I'm okay. I got this nice pass pawn. It could go into bishop opposite colors, but the attacking side's a piece ahead. Or yeah, and then I have a very active pass pawn. Let's try to do a run through on this game. This is one where he dropped a pawn in the opening. He played the Dutch system against it. It's an interesting system. I think it's safe and solid, but I guess he shouldn't have played the knight to d7 so quickly. Maybe queen e8 first, because I'm not able to play like a move like knight b5. But now he's dropping a pawn, and he got some play here. He's chasing my queen, but I have an exit check, and I just want to trade pieces. I was thinking of trying to transfer my pieces over the king side, but I just trade pieces, and he's got a lot of nuisance value on that d3 square, but it was something he couldn't really get anywhere with, and I did this to keep his bishop out of g6, although I let it in there later. And here I was eyeballing the c6 square, trying to get in there, and son of a gun, it worked. I sack a pawn, and I come in, but he missed his Zwischenzug here. He has to take. Well, he's going to drop the exchange. He has to take my knight, and then my rook on e1 is free to run. So he's basically dropping a piece here, and it's quickly, unfortunately, game over. But thanks so much for playing. Close that one down, and I got 3 games left. Okay, h5. Okay, here I can play instinct a little bit, even though it weakens my king side a little bit. I'll invite him to weaken his. I'll play h4 and stop his counterplay before it gets started, because I've got the hatches battened down on the d file. I'll figure out the winning path here soon enough. Okay, f3 is his move. Got my opponent moving every game. Okay, I'm down to 23 minutes here. Good, I'm glad he's taking his time. I'm down to 45 minutes there, and I'm down to 35 minutes here. So like 20, 30, and 40 minutes. Do I need to make these time controls longer so I can handle more games? I need to get more games in. I don't, if I play like a dozen games, I'll lose 4 or 5 of them. I don't care. You get a game. That's what counts. But I want to get this list down, and I want to see it keep growing. Because then I get these people bugging me. Chat. We got 6 requests for a chat from the same guy that I've already chatted with several times, and politely explained to him I can't start a game late. I've got things to do later. Okay, queen a5. What's he trying to do? Protect? c5? Yeah, I was threatening it. Okay, so he's protecting c5. Wondering if I can get him in a mate. Queen d2. Well, he's going to see queen takes h6. I'll play king h2. That does me no good. Let's see. Okay, I don't have much time here. I gotta stop and think a little bit. Let's see. So, with all that in mind, let's see. I don't know what's happening here. I want to. You can't expect someone to walk right into a checkmate if I play queen d2. He's threatening my pawn. Is he threatening my pawn on c3? Well, queen d2 is a natural move. queen d2 or queen c1. They both accomplish the same thing. What do I do after king h7, though? That's my follow-up. I know it's hard to say. Queen d2, king h7. I want to take on b4, cb4. I want to trade queens here. I got this nice c5 square for my knight. I think I can do that. Queen d2 and take on b4. Because that c5 square is just looking good. If a knight gets in there, it pressures the bishop on d7, pressures the pawn on a6. So let's go threaten to checkmate him first. Now, do I anchor the pawn in? That seems to be the safe move, b5. You'll play a6, I'll play a4. Yeah, that's the ticket. Just anchor it in. Okay. So, 35 minutes there. Somebody moved. Didn't click over to the... Oh, he did. Okay. No wonder it didn't click. Okay, now, what was I saying? Pawn takes. I don't have much time here. Pawn takes. I like the idea of getting the knight. So I'm inviting a queen trade. I like the idea of getting my knight into c5. If he takes with the pawn, he's got his passed pawn, but I've also got a potential pin, and I got some activity on the c file. My knight is beautifully posted. It's securing f6, and it's pressuring c5. So, unfortunately, I have to play a little bit quick in a game or two here. The simul started 2 hours ago. The video is an hour and 42 minutes. I don't start the video right away. I found it just better to wait on it, get all the games going. And go with that. Let's see. So I have to slowly consolidate my position here. But I shut down any counterplay of him trying h4 and h3 and all that stuff. And he's more than willing to play g5. That'll just create weaknesses for the ending. But I need to get my king over to e2 so that my knight is free, and go to b3, and then d2, and then f1, and then e3. And eventually I'll probably be able to engineer a queen trade and win with the two pieces. Okay, somebody moved. Oh, it was him. Okay, so let's see. What's he threatening? Anything I should worry about? He's taking the pressure off the D file. So how can I get the D file under control? With a knight on bishop on e2 and a knight on f3. That's easier said than done. But if I have that, he can't penetrate anywhere on d1 through d5. The moment I try to shift things over, he comes back on the D file and tries to penetrate. So let's see. Is he trying to play G5? Like I say, I welcome stuff like that. Always get a fear of foreboding when I hear capture. What do they take? Did I leave something loose? It wouldn't surprise me. Bishop E2. Well, he's not really threatening anything here. G5, I think, just weakens his pawns. What if I play or is he trying to G5? His idea is if pawn takes, queen takes, he can play H4. So let's try to get him to commit to that plan. Queen E2, rook H8. Then I play something like queen E3. Okay, let's play a little preventative maintenance here. Queen E2. Okay, queen E2. I took with the pawn. Now his pawn's pinned for what it's worth. Let's see, where do I want to put... put a rook on the C file and menace C5. Rook EC1. He might play B3 and threaten a fork. Queen E3 attacks C5. And he's going to run that pawn on me. B3. Knight C5. B2. Oh, I can't push B2 right away because I'll take his bishop, and even though he gives up his passed pawn, and I have a knight fork at the end of it all. He's going to run that pawn. Am I too worried about it? Now that knight's so strong on C5. I'll play queen E3. Okay. Now I'm down to 18 minutes there, so I'm definitely running low on time. So here I'm trying to put a knight on C5 or a queen on C5. Let him run his pawn. Could beat me. That's interesting. You know, we got a couple of passed pawns on a couple of games. One I have one, and one my opponent has one. But I want to get either the queen or the knight into C5. I'm not sure which one yet. And of course, if I get the knight to C5, I can come back to B3 and blockade that pawn. Oh. Okay, so this one's unclear. This one I'm calling this one unclear simply because even though I have a passed pawn, he's got the position open for his bishops. And my king is exposed here, but you know, it's like his best bet is to try for bishop opposite colors and make a fight out of it. You know, it's unclear, and let's see, so that leaves this game here. I have an advantage. I did play G5. Okay, I don't think you can get away with that. Because I take on H5. That was the whole point of putting my queen there. Queen takes, now I'm threatening queen takes G5, check. And queen takes, you take on H4. Rook H8. Okay, who's sending me a chat request? Okay, this is someone I don't know. Is he on my list? I'm just going to grab that pawn. Okay, is this guy on the Simul list? Yeah. Well, but you're a little late. You're 2 hours too late. Okay, you want a private chat request? Okay, so he's taking here. He's planning this. I don't mind so much if he wants to trade queens and then go win that H pawn. If that's your plan, that's fine with me. This threatens to trade queens, and we'll go with that. Okay, queen takes. Okay, so you win the pawn on h4. This is fine with me. That takes the heat off. I do want to get queens traded. Okay, so now 2 pieces for the rook is essentially a winning game. The objective is to use the 2 pieces to go win a piece. I mean, to go win a pawn, and then win another pawn, and then create a pass pawn, and go with the flow. Now, let's see. 42 minutes each there. I'm down to 18 minutes here, but he's thinking. So, watch for next simul. There will be more. Plenty more. Okay. I don't have time to stop and chat to these people that are 2 hours too late. But he hadn't bothered me before, so I'll give him a courtesy. And it's no disrespect to the guy that's bothering me. He will remain anonymous. I can't sit and tell you I can't play you, because I've done that before. You're too late. You know, I'm not going to tell you again. You're too late. Just watch for the next one. Be here. Okay, so I actually wouldn't mind if this simul ended soon. Okay, but the winning strategy is to go win a pawn, then win another pawn. So I got to create weakness in this position. Now, what's weak? F5 is a nice square. Keep him out of the D file and the H file. So let's see. Knight E2, rook takes, H4, knight G3. And if my king gets over to E2, I'm shutting down the D file. I got to get the knight redeployed, so let's just go ahead with knight E2. Because F5 is my square. I'm going to take it. It's a good outpost for the knight, and we'll work out the particulars later. Okay, he's still thinking. He's still thinking. Good. Got them all thinking. That's what I like to see. I mean, one reason I'm doing well in the games is because I don't have that many. I'm going to drop games if I get more than 10. And I don't mind dropping games because I want you all to have a long game against me. And hopefully, if I go pitch a pawn or 2 against you, I make you fight for your win. Make you feel what it's like to get a winning game and then have to go win it. But my concern is that the lists are growing. And I'm not getting people removed from the list. You know, like now one person, Lunacy, 87 or my friend Carlos, he's a student of mine. He's entitled to play in every one because he takes lessons with me. I want my students to have perks, so I offer my time. They'll throw another game in, and so he doesn't come off the list. That means only 4 names went on the list. I just put like 6 on there. I wasn't able to give a simul for 5 days just because of my schedule, but it's lightening up, and there'll be plenty more time. Somebody just moved as I got up to take a quick walk. Let me go peek at the board and see what took place. Who moved? Okay, he put his rook on D8. Okay, you don't want my pawn. You want the 7th rank. So I'll put the knight back on C1. I think. Let's see. I'm not gonna give you a draw by repetition. I'll go with my other plan. I might put the bishop on G2 or E2 and remaneuver the knight. Let me just see. Did this guy wear him down in time move? No, he's still thinking. Did he move? Yeah, he put his king on h7. Now how to make progress here. I say go for the opposite color bishops. Let's just drive that bishop away. Bishop here, you know, it'd be an instructive type game when, if I show one where you have a bishop opposite colors with other pieces on the board. His alternative is to deactivate the bishop to e6. So bishop takes, queen takes. He takes my queen, I take my queen. Now, you can't chase my pawn on e4 too easily because of the threat of my pawn, so let's just try this and see what happens. Okay, I think I have to play knight c1 here, but I have 30 minutes on my clock, so I have time to discuss things. If I play knight c1, he can't really penetrate on that file. His pawns are too slow to run. My king will come over and help out. I'll just redeploy a few things and everything will be hunky-dory, so to speak. That's the intent anyway, for everything to be hunky-dory. So put the bishop back on d3, and if he wants to win the pawn, then I'll just start moving my king to the center and cover his rook penetration along that file, and then do my other work later. I think he helped me out by trading queens, though. Although I guess the objective is just keep the queen on. Don't trade him. Make me untangle from your threat to get into the 7th rank, where he might win a pawn or something, and create nuisance value. But it would definitely make it a lot harder. But white should still be winning. It's just a matter of using the proper technique to do it. You know, coordinating the two pieces to take squares and threaten pawns and eventually force an exchange here and there, and then. But no matter how you slice it, 2 pieces of the rook gives white an extra piece. Doesn't matter that they're individually weaker than the rook. Together they're more powerful than the rook. So I'll be making that bishop d3 move in a moment. Just having a quick walk. Stretch the legs. I think I put 18 minutes in that one game. I think that should be enough time. Just have to go with the flow here, so to speak. But those 2 bishops in that one position are a little bit scary. That's why I'm trying to get him to trade one off. I don't know if he did or didn't, but let's see. Here I just put my I'll put my knight back on c1 and invite him to repeat the position, and I'll find another plan, which is bring my king over to e2 and eventually e3, I suppose. Come on, it's stuck. Come on. There we go. Knight c1. Okay, now. Oh, he declined the trade. Well, okay, fine. Do I get anywhere with knight d6? Is he attacking a2? Not really. Oh, my dark squares suck here in this game. What about bishop c4 here? Bishop c4. Does he pin me? With queen? No, he can't play queen c5. He can't pin me. So I miss these one movers all the time. My bishop's not doing any much. It's behind a bunch of pawns, and all my pawns are on light squares. All my dark squares are bad. He has no targets with his bishop other than h2, and I can cover that. Let's see, bishop c4, bishop takes, plays queen f4, and he walks into, no, I don't have a discovery with knight f6. But I can cover e2 easily enough, or h2 easily enough. I'm just going to offer a bishop trade, get that critter off. Okay, so he went back. Now, let him have it. and bring the king up. Well, actually, maybe not. Let's see. The king will keep his rook out. Once he takes that pawn, I'm going to threaten to, I'll threaten to guard it, make him take it. Then I can free my knight. So king g2. Did he move yet? Oh yeah, he did. What did he do? Rook d8. Okay, so he's clearing e8 for his bishop. Queen c5 here. Queen takes, knight takes. If he plays b3, I can back it up. Yeah, I got to get the... I think this is the right path. Knight, queen c5. Rather than knight c5 and... Let's get the queens off. Okay, he's blockading. Okay, that's fine. Let me get rid of his critter. Bishop takes. Okay. Now he took the pawn. Now I get the knight. Well, do I? The knight's got knight d2. If he plays rook h8, I can play king f3. Rook d1 is met by knight here. Knight e2, rook h8, king f3. Yeah, I think I'm okay. Now I took with the queen. Okay, now at least he's not on a dark square. What to do here? Let's just put pawns on white squares. Let's just play a4 and so that the b5 is covered and sit and wait developments. You might play f5. That'd be crazy. That's too late. He can play it. If he can play it, he can play it now. I got everybody thinking. Okay, so I don't know. This one's unclear. Unclear, they say. And the video has just hit the 2-hour mark and counting. The simul is 2 hours and 20 minutes since I sent the first challenge. 2 games down, 1 win. 2 wins. Okay, now he's bringing his rook over. So, if king f1 or king f3, he's threatening rook d8. So if king f3, he could put the rook on h1. You know what? Let him. I'll just put the king on e3 and he has no target. So king f3, I can give a check, but I play knight g3. Okay, so king f3. I don't care if he plays rook h1. I'll play knight g3. He play rook a1. Play knight f5 check and a3. Oh wait, then he plays rook a2. But my knight on f5 will start bothering his pawns here pretty quick, I think. Okay, he did play b6. I was wondering when that was coming. Or b3 rather. Let's see. I take. He takes with the knight. Take his queen. I'm talking about. Let's see. Do 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 do. Queen C. Queen takes. Queen takes C5. Queen takes A5. Do I want to play that? I want him to take. I don't really want me to take. Do I need to blockade that pawn just yet? If I play something crazy like H5. Trying to weaken his pawns. I just don't have any time to think this one over. Exposes king somehow. H5, try something crazy. Okay, I was wondering about F5. He's on my pawn, so he's going to step back into another pin, but he can't do anything with it. So I take. Okay, he did play that move. And now knight G3, rook A1, A3. Let's see. I'm going to check with the knight first. Wait, where is everything? Okay. Does he want to get to A1? Do I care if he gets to A1? Because they can go to A2. King E3, that's another way to do it, just delay the knight. Rook A1, A3, rook A2. Knight G3, rook A1, knight F5, check, king F6, king E3, rook A2. What to do here? Gotta make sure I'm not running out of time on these games. I only have 13 minutes here. That'll go very quickly. Queen takes F5. Okay. Is he threatening a check I should worry about? Not necessarily. My knight is pinned. I should break the pin. Threaten to penetrate to... Oh, he's on my pawn on F3. Okay, Queen D3. That's a solid move. And prepares knight G3. Okay. Now what to do here? C4 is a move. And I answer rook A1 with knight C3. Let's do that. C4. Okay. That covers all the bases. I knew there was a way to do it. Just had to find it. Okay. H5, it's his move. I don't mind if he takes the pawn on H5. It just gives him a double pawn, and I might be able to eventually win it back anyway. Bishop F3, stuff like that. If that knight moves, I might be able to throw a queen E7 in. If bishop F8, queen F8, hey, threatening mate on G7. There's all kinds of tricks. I just have to watch my time. Okay, so here my plan is to play either queen d6 or queen d8. Okay, put his rook there. I don't think that helps. Now my king comes over. Oh, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying. No, you can't go to d2. Duh. Okay, king e3. And the hatches are battened down. Okay, queen f4. So what if I... Queen d6, he plays queen takes f3. I'll just play safe knight g3 here. Oh, wait a minute, he's on the pawn. Knight g3, well, if it takes on a4, so what? He's trying to play bishop e5 next. Knight g3. Queen takes a4. Queen d8. And a bishop. Knight g3, queen takes a4, queen d8, bishop e5, I have rook checks. I think that pawn is just too dangerous. I'll give up the pawn. Okay, he's pinning me. Don't know if that helps you. That's an interesting move. His plan is on king d2 to play rook f1. So here's an interesting move. c5. Just if b5, bishop takes, pawn takes, c6. Rook h8, c7, or rook h1, he gets back in time. F3 here, with the idea of king f2. And let's see. This way, if I have pawn f3, king d2. Yeah, I've got to make sure I don't run into time pressure in some of these other games. Let's see. He didn't move. This guy moved. What did he take? He took my pawn on a4. Okay, now I go after his rook. Well, I'm not really going after his rook. I'm trying to play... Let's see, queen d8. I'm trying to get my pawn running. Queen b5. I'm not really attacking his rook yet, but I'm planning rook d7. Get that pawn off and running. Okay, queen d8. Okay, so I'm going to create a weakness somewhere on the queen pawns. Let's see. Of course, I can play f4 here. That'll get rid of my weak f pawn, and I still have enough material to outmaneuver him. f4. Rook A1, knight C3. Yeah, F4 is the ticket here. This will get me untangled. Okay, now it's now or never. Who's going to mate who? C7. Play Rook takes C7, deflecting my queen. Let's see what I want to do. That pawn stays dangerous. Rook D3 takes your queen off my rook. At least for now, you can get a check on A1. I come up to G2. Yeah, we'll go that way. Okay, try that. Okay, he's still thinking. I'm down to 13 minutes. Okay, he took, so I have to take back, right? No, I don't have to take back. I can take with check, but do I want to? Let's see. I'm going to take on G6 with check. I want to take on G6 with check? Probably not. It just brings his king out. Okay. Knight takes C5. Let the chips fall where they may. He took that pawn. I wasn't watching that. And he's still on my critter. Why didn't I see that? Okay, let's see. Well, I still have a dangerous pass pawn that is not going to go away. I play Rook D7. That might work. Rook D7. I play Rook takes F3. He's not threatening F1. Let's try it. See what happens. I'm just trying to get this simul over. Okay, knight D4. Well, I guess I have to cover this pawn. Now A4 is not a problem, so Rook AB1 should be okay. I'm not giving up any fork or anything, am I? Okay, King F5. So let's take squares away and play F. I don't get the F5 square for my knight, but I take squares away from him. I'll just play F5. I'm putting pawns on the color of my bishop, but this should be okay. It should be a win. Getting careless in this game. Give up 2 pawns. Okay. Will he try to get his king into G5? Maybe. But, he just doesn't... Okay, gave a check, so my king has to come up. Okay. Now queen C2 check is met by king H3, and I think my king runs. Okay, let's see. Did he move? No, he didn't move. I have 12 minutes there. I have 33 minutes here. I have 18 minutes here. Okay, plenty of time. Okay, king now. Now I can bring my king over to the king side, or queen side rather, and chase his rook out. Because he can't go to f2 and bother my pawn. Okay, so now it's just going to be a matter of maneuvering him here. Okay. I'm not really attacking his pawn on b3, but I am blockading it. Okay, rook h1. And now the objective is to... somebody move. I want to make sure I didn't... Let's see who's moving where. He's checking. Now I go to h3. Okay. So now I play knight c3 with the idea of knight a4 to win a pawn. Okay. Knight c3. I get my pieces finally into play here. Do have to watch my time. But you know, I think a Saturday start time, 9 o'clock morning Pacific time, would fit everybody in Europe, would fit everybody in America. Why don't I have 5 games? It's a little inconvenient for those in Australia and India, but you know. Here, like I said, I'm trying to create a weakness somewhere. He took. What am I missing? Is he going to fork me and pick up my rook? Ah! Rook takes, queen e6 check. Rook f5. I had 3 pawns there. They're all gone. How frustrating. Okay, these things happen. Did he move? No, he didn't move. He checked me, and I just come back to c1. All those passed pawns, and I lost them all. I mean, not passed pawns, pawn majority. Well, let's see. Rook takes. He's going to check. I throw the knight in. He takes my rook. Ah, rats. Well, just have to play it and see. It's a thing that happens in Simul. You just can't do everything you want. Okay. So, I can play knight f5. And he takes my rook with his queen. I can play rook f5. And he has to take my rook with his pawn. He can't take it with the queen. Knight f5, queen takes. I'm trying to do a checkmate on him somewhere. Rook takes check. Oh no, I can't take that. Okay, let's see. How am I going to block it? Rook f5. Man, I screwed the pooch on this one. Like I say, who cares? I heard a click. I have 32 minutes. I think I have the most time on this one. Okay, rook b6. He's doubling his rooks. Is that what he's trying to do? Well, just on general principles, I'm going to activate my bishop and pin your pawn since you didn't want my pawn. Now, how do I want to do this? Rook f5. It forces him to mess up his pawns. Also sets him up with a discovered check. which will win my knight. Might as well give him the knight too, huh? I just put the king back on g2. Okay. So now it's a matter of finding a square for the knight. Knight a5, 4 was the idea, was to try to create a weakness. Let's do it. King c7. I can play c5. Okay, knight a4. Okay, he took my rook. Now put the queen on b8, simply to pressure his pawns. He can check on a2. I go back to h3. Okay, so I messed this up. I had all these great pawns, threw a winning game away, like I really care. Okay, so let's see. He's protecting g6 indirectly. Let's see. Um, mm, slow play this one. King g2, king f1. Open up possibly the h file on him with king g2. Get the rook over to h1 at the right time. Maybe I can generate something here. Just sit on this one. Okay, let's see what's happening here. It was a pawn up now, or a pawn up now. I'm 2 pawns down. Gave up all my lovely pawns in a row. Wasn't even paying attention. Okay, so he should play king c7, and then I plan c5, and he'll play b5, and it's a matter of maneuvering things, and I'd like to get that knight over to g4. It's a long process here. My bishop's kind of crummy, but I got 2 pieces for the rook, and he has to play it accurately. Okay, what do I have left here? 32 minutes. Okay, bishop there. Now let's get this knight into play. Knight e4. Okay, he didn't move yet. He didn't move yet. So he played bishop d4 so he can advance his a pawn. Now I gotta get the knight in the game. Such a slow-moving critter. I'm liable to butcher all 3 of these games the way I'm going. So if he plays a5, what can I do? Not a heck of a lot. I got my queen about as active as she can get. H4, H5, try to soften up the king a little bit. A4, put the queen on D6. Bother the bishop. Okay, he played F6. Well, doesn't that give me a free pawn? What am I missing? Knight takes b6. King c5. Knight a4 check. King d4. You get your king active. I could play c5 check and nice little positional sack. That cuts your king out. Then I put the knight on b6 and c4. Check. There you go. Have that. Okay, he did play a5. Now I got to find a place for the queen. Let's go bother his bishop. Okay, check. So I save the king. King g3. Now knight c4, or knight b6. And then he goes to c4. Okay, what's he threatening? He's covering f6. So we try to break him open somewhere. h4. Wait. I can't play that. He plays bishop e5 check. Game over. Okay, where's this pawn? Okay, queen e7 check first. Okay, so he played rook d8, d6. I was going to double behind the rooks. Just blockade that pawn. I'm not going to let that pawn get to the 7th. Maybe I can win it. Maybe rook b2 with the idea of rook eb1. Of course, this gives up my plan of attacking him on the h file, but that might have been a far-fetched plan. Rook b2. Let's just blockade it and try and win that pawn, although I step into a pin. Okay. Now we play h4. Since he's going to play queen e5 check. Well, we play f4. Let's see. I have a new idea here. Queen d7. Stop his pawns from advancing. He's trying to double rook. Somebody offered me to draw it. He did? Yeah, let's just get this simul over. It's going to take a while to win that pawn on b3. And I'm low on time. I think it's just smarter to take it. I'll accept it. Thanks for the game. This one's about over. You're still trying to activate that critter. Okay. Check. King c5, knight takes. You get your king to d3. And I'm just going to put my bishop on c2. Let's see. Now he's got a weak a pawn. He's going to get his king to d4. Well, it's crazy positions where I could almost sack on e5. No, I don't have enough pawns. And my f pawn is very weak. Okay, knight takes a5, king d4. Bishop c2. King e3. Knight c4 check. I got to take the pawn. Knight takes. Takes a5. Okay, he's putting his queen there, offering a queen trade. Now I was trying to set up some kind of crazy idea of a knight check and a perpetual check. Let's put the queen on h3 and hope for the best. Bishop e5 check, king f. I just have to hope for the best. Okay, king d4. Now my bishop comes to c2. Or does it go to c2? Wait. Where is this bishop going? Bishop c2. He checks. I interpose. He takes my pawn. I take this pawn. I've got. Well, I'll put the bishop on b1 here. Rook check. I see bishop c2. Rook check. Bishop d1. King takes. But I play knight takes c6. Yeah, the pawns are. My pawns are faster than his. I have two pieces to stop his. Let's see. Where's this guy at? I'm not sure. Do I have a move here? When I have 13 minutes here, let's see. He checked me there, of all places. Okay. King. Here. F4. G5. I go to F5. Okay, we'll see what happens. Okay, king d4. Knight takes F. Knight takes here. Oh, I can't sacrifice both pieces. I was looking at knight takes, king takes, knight takes e5, but I'm giving up both pieces. Bishop c2. He's going to check with the rook. I interpose. He plays king takes. I play knight takes c6. He plays king takes f5. Yeah, this will work. Okay, there goes his gritter. Now we go attack it. You can play queen takes h2 check, but what can I do about it? Nothing. Okay. Pin his bishop, threaten a knight f6 check. Okay, there's the check as expected. Okay, now bishop here. Is he going to try c5? Let's see. c5, king d2. King takes, bishop c2 check. I'll be fine. Okay, this game, he did take. Now I take here. And so I have two pieces to stop his pawns. How far can this pawn get? A4, rook back, A5. which way to go here. I have 12 minutes. That's plenty of time. I found a way to get a lot of the pawns off. Because eventually, if he keeps the pawns on, my bishop and knight just simply start corralling him, corralling the pawns. See, my bishop and knight can stop his pawns, and my bishop king and knight can stop his pawns, and then my bishop and knight will help my pawns go through. He's doing well here, but it's just a matter of finding the right way to do it. When you don't have a lot of time, it's not always the easiest. The question is, which pawn do I want to advance, the A pawn or the B pawn? I suppose they're probably about the same in value. Get them both up the board. Keep my king in the center. Well, I think the A pawn is the outside pass pawn, and my bishop controls that square, so let's make him find the moves. Okay, so I'm trying tricks here. Queen h3. Or does he get me a mate? Let's see. Where's this queen at? Wait, what is this doing here? Something popped up that shouldn't have. Okay. Queen h3. He plays queen e5 check. My king goes back to e3. So queen h3. What if he plays g5 check? Well, we'll just try it and see what happens. Okay. So king e6. He's keeping the pin on. So I advance them both. b4, get them both rolling. Well, I got to get it off the 7th rank. I'm going to put them both up just under general principles. Okay, b4. Now, let's see. We'll be down to one game here. Oh, that one's over. Might try king. No, I can't do king d5. Bishop f3 check is not pleasant. Oh, no, that's a pin. Duh. Okay, check there. I come back. I have to come back, I think. So king d5 might be an idea here. You play king d6. I was expecting king d5. Because I'm more active. Okay. If I push the pawn to b5, at some point he's going to start his pawns running. Let me see. That game's over. He played a6. Attack his queen. See what happens. I have 10 minutes left. He's attacking my knight. I need to do something with it. Well, if I put it on a5 instead, at least maybe I'm threatening a check to get the knight back into the game. Then he plays king d5. But I can start getting my king closer. It's an interesting maneuver. Knight a5. Okay, now, did he move yet? Oh, that game's over. I'm attacking his queen. See, I want to take your queen. There's my pre-move. In case you give me something nice. Yeah, I messed this one up. Probably going to mess them all up now. No, this one I didn't mess up. I was close to it, I think. Yeah, he's got dangerous pass pawn. Here I'm taking squares away. c6, c5, c4 unapproachable. And I'll get my king to d2. And the bishop to e2. I just have to go blockade his pawns and get mine through. It should be a win. I mean, logic says it's an interesting ending. It should be a win. Just have to pull it off. So I want to play. Right now I'm just taking squares away. I want to play king d2 and bishop e2. He offered a queen trade. But I don't want to trade queens. Where can I put the queen? Man, I'm just going to give this up. There's no hope here. Okay, that one's over. Messed that one up. Okay, whoops, wrong button. Let's concentrate. What I have? One game left or two? I have one now. Okay, f5. Okay, he's getting his pawns rolling. King d2, I think, is my plan here. Get rid of the pin. Okay, now he's putting his pawns on the color of my bishop. Is that any good? Well, I got to get my pawns running. I got to get this knight into play. So check. It's only a game left. I have two games I can cover. Go over the moves, but let me gain a little time on the clock here first. Okay, king d5. Now I can check him again. Since he's on my knight, I think that's a smart choice. Now I can go king e5. It's time to start running my pawns, but he's going to start running his pawns too. I really don't want to take a draw. I want to play. Which one? b5. I have passed pawns. I'm not taking a draw yet. The game is not a draw until it's a draw. Got to try to find a blockade. Okay. F4. Where do I want to check? C4 or G4? C4, he comes as king into D4. King F5, where do I put my knight? Oh, no, it's not attacked. Okay, check there. Okay, so where's he going to put his king? As long as I can keep one pawn close to let's see. I guess I have to shove my pawns. Got to get them running. If I can keep one pawn on the board, I can go win the other two, win two of his two pawns, and still win the game. Now, the question is, whose pawns are more advanced, his or mine? Okay, rook a5. Now I guess I have to use my bishop as a defender, don't I? But I'm okay here. He can check me. He can push his f-pawn. Interesting ending. You know, logic says the pieces win. You know, just a matter of, okay, he's checking me. Which way do I go? King e1. Where to put the king? Let's see, I still have 9 minutes. I'm kind of living on my increment here. One idea is to put the king on d3, let him have the pawn. Oh, no, I can't. I'm going to lose my a pawn too. King e1. I can give it the knight for 2 pawns, but I think that reaches a drawn position. King e1, f3. Can he play f3 in any position? Bishop takes f3, rook takes b5, a6. I keep my pawn. Yeah, king e1. I gotta stay in the vicinity if I'm gonna get a blockade. King e1. Gotta blockade his pawns. And keep one of mine. If I win both of his pawns and keep one of mine, eventually I can coordinate the bishop and knight to win. Okay, he's checking. That leaves me one legal move, right? Right? I believe it does. Okay. He's putting the rook back. If I put the bishop back on e2, that doesn't work. If I put the knight on f6, push f3, is that a problem? Okay, what if I push a6 or a6? He takes my knight. I push a7. He sends his rook back. Maybe king. Maybe this is. I don't know. Let's see. Where's he going? Where am I going? Where am I going with that knight? Well, let's see. That's b6. Can I play b6? Rook takes. No, getting the pawns on the wrong color. Let's see. b6. Rook takes knight. a6. They're getting advanced. But there's too slow and his king's close. Don't know where else to put the knight. f6. Knight f6. Plays f3. And I play. I'm in trouble if I do that. Dang it. I can't put the knight anywhere. I have. Ace. I like the idea of even giving up the knight. 8 to get the pawn up. I think he gets away with a draw here. A6. What if he plays f3? I just push a7 or take on e3. I'm running out of time. a6, make him prove the draw. a6, rook takes, a7, rook back, bishop here, threatens to make a queen. But the problem is he can go after he can get my last pawn. Well, if he gets it, he gets it. I think that's the only winning shot. But you understand, I'm not going to take a draw 10 moves ago. I mean, there's plenty of play in the position. I'm sure White had a win here. I just didn't have enough time to sit down and find it. Maybe I shouldn't have moved both pawns together. Maybe move one at a time. I was saying earlier, my pawns are moving faster. Yours got more advanced. Okay, you took my knight. No, he has a draw with king c7. I think. Take my bishop. Take my bishop. I'm saying king c7 draws. Looks like that does too. Okay. Let's see. What choices do I have here besides queening? Play bishop c6. Guard my pawn. He just puts his bishop king on b6. Does it give him a chance to go wrong? Yeah. Let's try it. Bishop c6. Maybe I'll lose this. Let's have fun. Let's make you think. Oh, you're no fun. Let's king back to b6. I pretty much have to promote now. Okay. Now I gotta take you. That did it. This was a one game that I let go. Well, who's going to offer the draw? You have the pawns, you can win. I'll make a move so I can... Okay, I want to go over these other games. Did I butcher this? Not necessarily. Bishop c6, e2. Bishop b7, e2. Okay, let's go over these other games. Come on, move, because as soon as you move, it's going to flip me over. It's going to take me off the game. Okay, here he hung a pawn on. We played Queen C7. He hung a pawn, so objectively, White's winning, or has clear advantage. And I saw E6 coming, but I decided to open up the board because I could get this passed pawn. But his two bishops got scary. Okay, well, I'm going to look at these games and get them over with before I come back here. Hang on, I know you moved. I don't want to make a move and have it flip back. I want to cover these games. Unless I'm losing on time. Am I losing on time? No, I have 7 minutes. Okay, I can cover these in 7 minutes. Okay, I've got this great pass pawn. I'm trying to get bishop opposite colors just to have some fun with that. And A2 is fine. I end up playing A4 just to protect it, and then I end up forgetting about A4. Then I forget about B5. I don't even see A4 is under attack. See, I don't even see it. Bing. Now I decide to attack that, and I don't even see B5 is under attack. Whoops. Now I run for the hills, and now I lose the thing back. So it's just dumb on my part. And I try to set up some tricks with knight G5 check where I could maybe get a perpetual check or better, and you wouldn't fall into him, so that ended that. Now, which other game was there to look at? Okay, let me see, make sure I don't lose on time there. Okay, no, I don't want to move because he'll move and it'll flick me back. Okay, this one was an interesting game. Okay, what happened here? Got the idea. He used up very little time in the beginning. Got this idea to try for this move because this long diagonal opened up. It's not something I've really used, and I keep control of B4. And this entertains mate thoughts, but they really aren't there. But I've got this great knight, and that pawn at F6 is a killer. And I like the C5 square, but maybe maybe I need to put a rook on. Well, I can't put a rook on C1. I was talking about that earlier. I can run at some point. I might run into problems with the fork. But he's playing this well. He's covering D7 because the knight gets into C5. It's pressuring a lot of stuff. I don't know. That was just kind of like a whimsical move. And I decided to blockade the pawn, but it's running low on time. There's no point in taking it out. Anyway, that ended that game. Now what's happening here? Oh, it did this again. I go close one game out, and it shrinks this thing. Oh my God, why does it do this? I'd be glad if they get the new interface. Okay, clearly I have to play bishop move. He's offered to draw. Do I want to take it? Well, yeah, I have no choice. I'm down on pawn, and I don't have any main material. Okay, so that ended that. And unfortunately, this stupid. Look at this. You close the game out, it brings this up. Why? Why does it bring this up? It's just frustrating. So I can't really. I want to go over that game. It shrinks the board. Maybe the way to do it is, let's see. Let's say live chess. I'm going to try to bring that game up. Well, here I'll just bring up the game here. Let's see, which one was it? This one. Okay, view. Well, it's not going to be in the same position as whatever. I mean, the video capture software captures a portion of the screen, so I can't cover this game. Why when I click close one window does it shrink the other game? And not close the window I want and shrink the other game. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so there's a lot left to be chess.com. You got a lot to be fixed on your interface here. This happen every simul I give. Okay, so I'm sorry I can't go over that game here, but I'm sure there was a win for white. The two minor pieces have got to beat the rook. I just didn't find it in a lot of time I had. But thanks all for watching and for playing. Take care.